Activity of labor, see. And this is a fundamental feature of class society as we have known it up until now. See, it will be even more so on the socialist society. There might have been a time when the raw material was worked up individually by some human beings, but that was in the bygone past of hundreds and thousands of years ago. So from the point of view of collectivization, of socialization, it's an immense plus. It is collective. But that it is artificially divided, first of all, by those who work are generally working for proprietors. And that the labor that they work up, see, becomes the property of an individual owner. There was a time, shortly after the feudal system, and even during it, see, where the artisans like the shoemaker or the tailor or the shoemaker, the tailor, the carpenter, that they made an individual product. And they were very important and very independent people because they skillfully were able to do something. But none of them worked on raw materials that were solely the product of nature. They worked on artificial materials which were the product of labor and not merely from the soil. There's a collectivity of labor, see. And I think that this is what has to be borne in mind when we discuss that labor is collective and that ownership is private. Now, what has survived in the labor process, what has survived is, first of all, labor and ownership. Labor became collective, see, more so as individual entrepreneurs were driven off the land, and when they were not driven off the land, their shops were forced to be closed as collective production became more and more the vote, more and more, see. One or two entrepreneurs, one or two even artisans getting together, and thereby, instead of working by themselves, they hired several others until it became a process of disenfranchisement of hundreds of thousands, where there were no more independent producers, where production in the household was supplanted by production in the factory, which is a big, big step in the direction of capitalist society. But the point I think that we want to bring home, see, first of all, is to clarify the relationship between collective ownership, between collective production and individual ownership. The individual ownership has survived, see, whereas the individual producer has vanished. There are no individual producers. There may be individual small proprietors, but the things that they work on, the raw materials they work on, it's all the product of collective labor. So where is the contradiction? If we want to go deeper into it, the contradiction is between class society in general and an early communist society in particular. Because in early communist society, everything was owned in common. See? So that this leap from communist society into individual proprietorship created the contradiction. See? Private ownership survived, and the commonality, or the common aspect of production degenerated to the extent where there was a dichotomy or a contradiction between the ownership and the production end of it. So I think the most important part is to clarify in our own mind what the contradiction between the ownership of the means of production and its private appropriation. Perhaps the word appropriation is not the happiest one from the point of view of illustrating what is the contradiction. Okay. Now,